I've already covered commons, rares, and legendaries, so this video should be the last in the series. And of course, today I'm going to be covering Mythical Fruits that I'd like to see added to Grand Prix Online. I have to admit, I wasn't exactly spoiled for choice when researching for this video, since there are only 5 canon Mythical Zoan fruits. Now, I thought about adding fruits that weren't Mythical Zoans, but I decided that this category will probably be reserved for Mythical Zoans, so I'll try to be consistent with GPO. Alright, let's get right into the video with the first suggestion, the Hito no Mi Model Daibutsu, or if you prefer the English name, the Human Model Buddha Fruit. Of all the Mythical Zoans that I'm going to talk about, this fruit's concept is probably the strangest. I mean, I'm pretty sure that Buddha was a real person, and I'm also pretty sure that man did not have any golden powers, so I guess this is some sort of mythical take on the Buddha. It does look a little out of place, however, when compared to the other mythical Zoans, which deal with more recognizable mythical creatures like a phoenix. I've actually made a full-length discussion video on Buddha on my channel, but I'll summarize it here for those who haven't seen that video. Basically, this fruit allows the user to transform into a massive golden Buddha who is capable of large AoE attacks while in this giant golden Buddha form. This fruit was originally sneak peeked months ago, so I won't go too in depth on the abilities, and I'll just put a clip of the showcase from IV Main on screen now. I could see this fruit being very powerful in GPO, but it would definitely have to be carefully made so that it's actually usable. Obviously, being a giant has its downsides, since your hitbox is also gigantic. We don't know if this fruit has any sort of immunity while in the giant Buddha form, but we can assume that it doesn't. Another downside of this fruit would be that it would lack any real mobility. Due to the size, you wouldn't be able to fit into small places, and you probably have issues getting around corners. The fruit would also probably not be very useful for things like ship farming, since there's no way that giant Buddha is going to fit on a hoverboard. I think Foyu would probably have to balance this by giving giant Buddha even a health boost, or in full form it might even have a health regen that's really high. All things considered, unless Foyu does something truly special, I don't see this fruit being very popular with the community in terms of above things like Logias. The second fruit I want to discuss is definitely going to be very controversial, but also will probably be very popular with the greater GPO community, and will definitely be overpriced when it's released. I'm talking about Kaidos Fruit. The fruit is technically called the Ue no Mi, or the Fish no Mi fruit, but the wiki also lists its name as being Model Seiryu, or Azure Dragon in English. I'm not sure how accurate this is, but I'm gonna call it the Dragon Fruit from now on because it's easier to say than the Ue no Mi, and this fruit basically allows the user to transform into a huge OP blue dragon monster. The colour would probably be optional or random. I'm pretty sure Blox Fruits did something similar with their Dragon Fruit too. From a PvP perspective, I can see the strongest form actually being the hybrid, since being in full dragon form would probably drain a lot of stamina, and it's just a big hitbox, and I doubt the large AoE would be too OP for PvP. For PvE though, I could see this fruit not being very useful, but I'm sure it wouldn't be too bad, since the AoE probably could be useful for group farming NPCs, or just doing loads of damage to mobs like Sea Kings. Looking at the fruit from just a visual perspective though, I'm sure it would look like one of the best fruits in the game in terms of abilities and transformation, because I don't think Foyu could really not make this fruit look amazing because it's a huge blue dragon, so unless his dev team messes up badly, the fruit should look amazing. I really hope the GPO dev team does these zones justice, since sometimes zones are poorly made. If you want to see some really well made zones on Roblox, then check out the One Piece game One Piece Final Chapter 2, since that game had some really good zone fruits. I'm curious to see if you guys would actually use this fruit, so leave a comment down below if you would eat Kaido's Dragon Fruit. The final fruit on my list, yes, seriously I could only find 3 that I want to talk about, is one that is really new in One Piece in the grand scheme of things. I am of course talking about the second mythical Zoan to be showcased in Wano, Orochi's Yamata no Orochi fruit. This fruit is pretty underrated, since the user of this fruit is a really weak fighter. The fruit itself allows the user to turn into a Yamata no Orochi, which is a mythical 8-headed snake. The Yamata no Orochi is honestly a pretty powerful creature, and the 8 heads mean that it can attack multiple times from different angles, and I would hope that this would be incorporated into GPO. But I'm not really sure what other abilities to add, because the fruit is just so new that there aren't many abilities that have actually been showcased. And it also doesn't help that Orochi, the user of the Yamato no Orochi, isn't much of a fighter, and only really uses the fruit to intimidate his opponents. This means that we don't really get to see the fruit push to its full potential in combat. I'm sure if someone like Kaido had gotten their hands on this fruit, it would have been probably a lot stronger in a lot of people's eyes. In GPO though, this fruit would likely be the least popular mythical Zoan, since honestly it isn't all that powerful, and it definitely hasn't been around long enough for it to be a fan favourite among One Piece fans. I would like to see this fruit added alongside Kaidos Fruit when we get the GPO equivalent of Wano, since I think that would be fitting. Now, I'm going to go on a little tangent about Wano and GPO, so if you came here just for Mythical Fruits, you can click off if you want, but for everyone who stayed, let's talk about Wano for a second. Can you imagine how much amazing content we will finally get when Wano drops? Like, imagine how big the map would be, and how many cool weapons we'd see, like Odin's swords or Kaido's Kanabo. Not to mention, imagine if the koi fish waterfall thing was added, where you get your ship dragged up the waterfall by the koi fish. That would be amazing. Anyway, that's all for today's video. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, I hope you have a great day, evening, or whatever time it is where you guys are, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video. See ya.